The glass slipped from my hand before I even realized I'd dropped it. Water splashed across the kitchen floor, shimmering under the soft evening light, but I didn't move. I couldn't. My phone screen glowed in my trembling hand, and the words stared back at me, cruel and irreversible. I wish it was you with me last night instead of her. One sentence. One message. One moment that ended 6 years of marriage. It wasn't addressed to me. It was from my husband, Ryan, to my best friend, Claire. For a long time, I just stood there, the sound of dripping water echoing through the quiet house. My chest felt tight, like something inside me was collapsing inward, but my mind refused to believe what my eyes had seen. Maybe it was a joke. Maybe he meant something else. Maybe I'd misunderstood, anything but what it clearly was. The faint scent of roasted garlic still lingered in the air from the dinner I'd made for him an hour earlier. He'd smiled at me, kissed my forehead, and told me he was tired from work. Now I wondered if her perfume was still on his skin when he said it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every sound in the house, the hum of the fridge, the ticking of the clock, became deafening. My mind replayed the message over and over, dissecting every word like a wound I couldn't stop touching. When Ryan came to bed, I pretended to be asleep. He slipped under the covers, his arm brushing against mine. I flinched. His touch, once warm and safe, now felt like a lie pressed against my skin. The next morning, I stared at my reflection in the bathroom mirror. My eyes were red, puffy, and hollow. I looked like someone I didn't recognize, someone broken and pretending not to be. I told myself I needed proof before confronting him. I needed to be sure, even though deep down, I already was. The days that followed blurred together in a haze of quiet suspicion. Ryan acted normal. Too normal. He'd hum while making coffee, text during breakfast, leave the room to take a call. Every small action now carried weight, every pause filled with unspoken guilt. Claire stopped answering my messages. That was the confirmation I didn't want. I found myself driving to her apartment one Friday afternoon. The city was soaked in rain, windshield wipers slicing rhythmically through my shaking thoughts. When I parked outside her building, I saw his car. His unmistakable silver sedan. The world tilted for a moment. I didn't go inside. I couldn't. Instead, I sat in my car for nearly an hour, watching the rain blur everything beyond the glass. Streetlights, strangers, the shape of my marriage dissolving before my eyes. When Ryan got home later that night, I was waiting at the kitchen table. The same table we'd picked out together after our honeymoon. The one we'd built dreams on. My phone sat beside me, open to his message. "Ryan," I said quietly, my voice barely steady. "Who's her?" He froze. His face drained of color. "What are you talking about?" I turned the screen toward him. For a moment, he didn't breathe. Then he whispered, "It's not what it looks like." The most predictable line in the world, and somehow still the most painful. He talked for a long time. Said it just happened, that he'd been confused, that Claire meant nothing. The words poured out like dirty water, excuses mingling with apologies that only made things worse. I sat there in silence, each syllable slicing through the last thread of trust I'd held on to. I wanted to scream, throw things, demand answers, but instead, I asked a single question. "How long?" He swallowed. 3 months. 3 months. 90 days of lies. 90 nights of me kissing a stranger goodnight, believing I still knew the man I'd married. I felt something inside me break quietly, like a bridge collapsing under invisible weight. Not loud, not dramatic, just final. After he left for his brother's that night, I went into the closet. His shirts hung in neat rows, smelling faintly of cedar and the cologne I once loved. I sat on the floor, my knees pulled to my chest, staring at them. That's when the memories came flooding in. The night he proposed, the way he'd cried at our wedding, the nights we whispered about our future under starlight. Love doesn't just vanish. It decays slowly, like fruit left too long in the sun. Sweetness turning sour until all that's left is rot. The next morning, I packed a small bag. I didn't know where I was going, just that I couldn't stay. When I closed the door behind me, I left my wedding ring on the counter. It caught the morning light, a perfect circle, flawless and meaningless all at once. Weeks passed before I heard from Claire. She sent me a message. "I'm sorry. I never meant to hurt you. He said you two were over." That was the final knife. Even in Betrayal, he'd rewritten the story to make himself the victim. I didn't reply. There are wounds silence speaks louder for. Sometimes, late at night, I still think about the moment it all ended, that one sentence on my phone screen. I replay it, not because I miss him, but because I need to remember the feeling. The shock, the hollowing, the cold clarity that came after. It reminds me that love, no matter how strong, cannot survive deceit. Months later, I met someone new. Someone gentle. Someone honest. But when he tells me he loves me, I still hesitate. I still listen for the unspoken truths between words. Healing, I've learned, isn't about forgetting. It's about choosing to live despite the memory. And sometimes, when I walk past that old kitchen window, I see a reflection of the woman I used to be. Naive. Trusting. Hopeful. I don't hate her. She loved deeply, and that's not a weakness. It's proof she had something real to give. One sentence ended my marriage. But it also began the story of who I am without him, stronger, wiser, and finally, free.